How's it going, YouTube? So this is a bit of a different video. I'm just going to walk through something that I ran into when trying to fix the windshield wipers on my e450 box truck. Now, I have somebody who wants to trade me for this box truck. Had some issues with it, fixed the brake line in a previous video, and now I was just down to really the wipers didn't work, and the gentleman wants to trade but asked that the wipers be working because he wants to immediately put it to work as soon as he gets the truck. Totally reasonable. He doesn't want to have downtime on a business vehicle. Now, I went ahead and went through so much of this vehicle trying to figure out what's going on and was not having any luck. So when you look it up online, they obviously point to a bad motor and a bad switch, your multifunction switch, which does your turn signals, your high beams, and your windshield wiper stuff. So my symptoms were my spray nozzles still work perfectly fine, but my windshield wipers, regardless of the position, would not work. So I came out here, I had to pull this motor out with three, I believe they're 10 millimeter bolts. Yep, 10 millimeter bolts, which I used the 5/16 for, but pulled that up and out. I could unplug this, and then I put jumper cables in the battery, and then on the other side of the jumper cable, I just put two wires, and I hit the pins in the motor that it needed to, and the motor turned. So I'm like, okay, should not be the motor. So I drove an hour and a half last night and got a new switch, which is somewhere around here, probably in the center. And that had the exact same results. But every time I turned it all the way up to the highest setting with the key in the accessory or the van running, because the wipers don't work with the van off. So I put it into accessory, I turn this all the way up, and I hear a click in the dash. And I did a bunch of Google searches for, hey, I'm getting like a relay click sound, and nothing. So I just ended up coming up here, didn't hear the click out here, so I'm like, okay, it's in the van. I proceeded to pull the dash apart, trying to figure out what's going on, and there's a little box that sits up, this box sits up behind here. And I finally was like, I put my hand on it and did the click, and I'm like, yeah, I think that's what's clicking. So I unplugged it, pulled the box out, and it's like a $250 box. Proceeded to try to find one locally because I have no idea how to test the box. And AutoZone was like, hey, if you come by 1 p.m., we can have it for you by 5 p.m. Cool. Go to AutoZone at 12:50, and they say, yeah, it's going to be like 2 or 3 days. So I was like, that's not going to work. I'm sorry, I'm trying to do this trade this weekend. Ended up coming home, and while I was out, I was like, oh, I have two F250s here. I wonder if those have the same part. They don't. This box is on the E series, so E150, 250, 350, 450. But I totally forgot that I had an E250 van over there. So I went ahead and put it in accessory mode, turned it, it worked, pulled the box out, put the box in here, and now my wipers work. So there's this little box, and it's called, I totally forget, but if you look up, that's a different number than mine had, but hey, it works, so I'm not going to knock it. But let me figure out what that's called real quick. So they have a couple different variations of this number on them, but the Dorman compatible number is Dorman part number 906-151. And once again, a lot of the stores don't have them in stock. One that's like almost 2 hours from me said they had one in stock, but I didn't want to drive that far if I could at all avoid it. Luckily, I had the E250 van, but I just wanted to make a comment about this because I had not seen those anywhere. And apparently they're like from, I want to say 95 to 03 or 05, or they're in a bunch of years of these vans, and I could not find anything. When people were talking about, they're like, oh, if your switch works, you should be having power at the motor. If not, it's a wiring problem. But nothing, even when I was looking at E-Series forums, mentioned that box. So this was just a quick informational video about if you're scratching your head, losing your mind like I have been. But luckily now, my windshield wipers work, and it was that box. So I'll go ahead and I guess maybe order that box for that van so that I can sell that with working windshield wipers, or I'll just sell it as it sits. But anyways, I have this van back together, so hopefully I can now make that trade happen, hopefully later today.